Happy Easter everyone, I'm Chris and welcome back to a special episode of Rift Amps. Right, where are we then? Okay, so on the Pro Reverb, the half power switch is now turned up so I can get that done, the rest of the amp finished, put back together, tested, and then if I'm happy with it, the customer can have it back, so that's good news. The 5 Elysium pedals are all done, boxed up, shipping off to Coda. So if you're after an Elysium, they will be in stock in the next couple of days. I actually forgot that both this week and next week are only 4-day weeks because it's the Easter weekend. So in the UK, we get both the Friday and then Monday off as public holidays. So it's a long weekend. It's one everyone looks forward to. And looking at the weather outside, I think we're on for a nice one this week. So yeah, anyway, but that does mean I'm losing 2 days over the next 2 weeks, days which I really need because I am busy. So I've got a lot to get done. So I'm going to get the twin reverb finished. I've got to get the PR35 done, but the cabinet has yet to arrive. And I did speak to the cabinet maker yesterday. He doesn't think it'll get to me this week. So that's probably going to be next week. Okay, so cracking on with builds, I've done the next Ainsley Lister board. So I've drilled it, put my eyelets in, and I've populated it this morning. And now I'm just going ahead and I'm populating the chassis itself. So I'm putting all my sockets and transformers and bits and pieces in. Now, as you guys know, I always use locking hardware, usually nylock nuts. But on bits where I can't use locking hardware, I do use a tiny, tiny dab of Loctite 243 just to make sure everything stays where it should be and it won't rattle, because that's the absolute worst thing in a combo. However, a very nice subscriber has sent to me a knockoff bottle of Loctite 243. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's the same stuff. Well, it appears to be the same stuff, so I'll show you. Here's the real stuff, which is blue. I'll just put some on there. And then we'll do the same with the... it's, I think it's from Temu. Come on, out you come. What have I done? Sorry, I'm being defeated by this bottle. It's not a good sign, is it? There you go. Out it comes. So, if we get a close-up, here we go. So this is the real stuff. Right. And this is the fake stuff. Don't know about you, but it looks awfully similar. Now, I gave it the old sniff test and it does smell exactly the same. It feels the same under finger. So is it the same? Now, what are my concerns about this stuff? Well, my concerns are not that it's not as strong as the good stuff, but actually that it is too strong. It is stronger and in fact will hold things tighter than it's meant to. That's my only real concern, right? Because blue Loctite is one that you're meant to be able to break. It's the red and the green stuff that holds things permanently. Blue and purple. Blue is medium, purple is the lightweight stuff. So is this the same strength, weaker or stronger than the real stuff? Who knows, right? So we will do some testing. I think what I need to do is set up some breakaway torque testing, comparing the real Loctite. Now, in the UK, a 50 milliliter bottle is around £55-60 from a genuine supplier. And this stuff on Temu was £2.50. So what's that, 20 times cheaper, or this is 22 times more expensive than this. And if it is exactly the same, well, of course then, you know, why wouldn't you have a spare bottle of that hanging around? But yeah, it appears to be the same stuff. Interesting. Although the label doesn't really give much away, other than telling you that it's made in China. But we always know never to trust these labels. Maybe it means the bottle was made in China. Who knows? Oh, that shelf life, 24 months. Anyway, so until I've done some testing on the cheap stuff, I'm not going to use it in a guitar amp, just in case. Well, my concern is that it's too strong. All right, but I do need to get some on my standoffs for my board. So I just wanted to have a little chat with you guys about this channel, because it seems that some of you either don't read the description below the video, or are just hell-bent on sending stupid messages to me, either by email or through YouTube. So let's get one thing straight, and this is probably the only time I'm ever going to be serious about this, so I do apologise, is that this channel is not a tech channel. And what I mean by that is that, as far as I'm concerned, it's a show and tell. I show you what I've been doing and I tell you about it. It's not designed to give help and support and advice on the building and repair and maintenance of valve amplifiers, vacuum tube amplifiers, whatever you want to call them. But it's simply to show you what I get up to each week in the workshop. I decided that I wanted to deliberately keep the tech talk to a minimum, or at least to the point where it's understandable to you, the casual viewer. If you want more levels of detail, there are other channels that do that. This is not one of them. As far as I'm concerned, the highest technical level in terms of what I'm talking about and explaining, and that I should be showing you, is biasing, you know, measuring voltages on sockets and things like that. If it gets any more nerdier than that, a lot of the casual viewers will switch off. So it's by design. I'm deliberately keeping tech talk to a minimum. Now, unfortunately, that's quite difficult for me, because all I want to do is explain it in full detail. You know, give you all the information and explain how everything works. But I think that actually create a different type of channel to what I want this to be. And so I do struggle sometimes to dumb it down, if that's what you want to call it, just to keep it simple and easy to follow. So I do apologise if you've noticed that sometimes I struggle to explain things simply. It's only because I'm trying to translate in my head what's actually going on the amplifier, and just trying to simplify it for you so most of you guys can understand what's going on. It's something I struggle with, so I do apologise if sometimes it feels a little bit wishy-washy and a little bit floaty, because it's just I do struggle to simplify things sometimes. But that's on me. That's for me to work on. But I don't want this channel to become too techie, too nerdy, too over the top. Again, there's other channels that deal with that far better than I ever could. I don't do reviews. I've had a couple of emails now from people saying, do you want to review our speakers, valves and things, and we'll pay you for it. Now, for me, as a manufacturer who's trying to sell my own stuff, I don't really want to be selling someone else's. But also, if I tell you something that I think is good or not, I want you to know that it's from the heart and it's true, and it's what I truly believe. I don't like that brand of capacitor. I do like that brand of valve. That speaker's really good. I've had problems with these speakers before. If I say those sort of things, I want you to know that I'm saying it because I mean it, not because I'm cashing in. All right? So that's that covered. I welcome all comments. I really do. If you've got something to say, please put them down below. I do try and read them all, and I do try and answer and respond to as many as I can. But, and here's the but, Any comments that are unhelpful, rude, inappropriate, unsavoury, or just unwarranted, I will review them, and I might censor them if I think that's the most appropriate thing. So if you want to come on this channel and just type full-on abuse at me, feel free, but I'm going to delete it or I'm going to hide it. I want people to be engaged and involved in the channel by writing comments that help other people understand what's going on, ask genuinely good and interesting questions. But if you're just going to be an idiot, then I'm going to treat you as such. I had a comment from somebody who clearly didn't understand how YouTube works, or at least how this channel works. Now, I'm going to say now that this channel is optional. I don't have to make it. I don't have to film anything. I choose to do it because I enjoy doing it, right? I don't have to turn the camera on. I don't have to film anything. I don't have to put content out each week for you guys. It's something I do because I want to. I'm not being forced to do it. Nobody's paying me to do it, apart from the advertisers, of course. But I can stop at any time. It's not something I'm tied to. Same goes for you guys. If you don't enjoy the content that I'm putting out, you don't have to watch it. It's not compulsory. It really isn't. If you don't enjoy what I'm doing and you find you get more enjoyment from another channel or from someone else, please go watch their stuff. You know, I'd rather you do that than write nasty, abusive, aggressive emails to me because you've got nothing better to do with your time. You don't have to watch the channel. It is optional. However, if you do choose to stay, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. You know I do. I do enjoy creating this content and doing all this stuff. Now, in one of the messages that I received, someone was moaning about the lead times for my amplifiers. I do have a very long lead time, but that's simply because I've got a lot of orders on. I've got a huge amount of orders in my order book. It's not because I work slow, it's just that I've got a lot of work on. And now that the repair side of the business has got even busier, you know, I'm kind of balancing and spinning many plates at the same time. So, but this guy said, perhaps if I spent less time making YouTube videos, my lead time would drop, which actually shows more his level of ignorance than anything else, because as all of you know, the production quality on this channel isn't high. It doesn't take me long to film stuff. I do work in the morning, just before lunch. I get the camera out and I film stuff, show you what I've done, and I do the same at the end of the day. And by the end of the week, I've got 15, 20, 25 minutes to put together, to upload, to show you what I've done this week. It really doesn't take me a lot of time. In fact, I probably spend more time answering emails from people who've got nothing better to do with their time each week than I do making these videos. So make of that what you will. Every Sunday at 8:30 UK time in the morning, these videos go live, unless you're a channel member, of course, and you get them early. The video will say Rift workshop update or weekly workshop update, whatever it is. And that's what my Sunday videos are. They are a compilation of what I've got up to in the week, all edited together in a nice, easy to follow format. That's the goal and the idea. Now, a couple of things. First of all, not everything that I do in the week is filmed. Again, I'm too busy. I don't have time. I just try and film the most exciting or what I think is the most interesting stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I do either behind the scenes or just general repair and build work that's just not exciting. You don't need to see me fitting pots to chassis all day long. It's not that exciting. So not everything I do in the week is filmed. Not everything that I film that week will be in that week's episode. So I might film something that actually probably fits better the following week. But also, not everything in this week's episode was filmed this week, obviously. So, you know, there might be stuff in this week's episode that was filmed the week before or the week before. Sometimes I get something in that deserves its own standalone episode. Like the Laney that we had in, I did that as a kind of a special. I wanted to do that rather than stick it in the weekly update video. I did it as a standalone episode. Same with that Cornell that was in last week. Now, That one was dropped off on the Friday morning. I had planned to work on it this week, but I had another customer who'd booked in on the Friday morning to come and have a mod done while he waited, but he cancelled on me. So I thought, I know, I'll do the call now, and I filmed some bits as I go, and turned out I got the thing done, put it all together, and I managed to get an extra video out for you. So that's how I do it. You get the weekly video on the Sunday, and you might get 1 or 2 bonus episodes throughout the week of extra stuff that are going on. Someone said I should have a second channel for stuff like that, but no, I want to keep it all in-house, keep it simple, make it like that. Now, with the weekly update videos, there might be 4 or 5 different things that I'm filming. So there might be a couple of repairs, a couple of builds, pedals, something that's going on. And what I do for the thumbnail and title of that week's episode, I pick what I think is the most exciting part of that episode. For example, last week we had the video was called "Someone Dropped This Cornford," and it was the red Cornford 2x12 that's in for repair at the moment, and the cabinet was damaged, and we all saw that. Now in that video we had the PR35 build, we had the Pro Reverb repair, we had the Cornford Hellcat, and we had some Elysium stuff. So there were 4 different scenes, as we'll call them, and I decided the Hellcat was probably the most important one, the most exciting, and so that's what I chose for the thumbnail and title for the video. And the reason I did that is because that's probably what is going to get most people to click on the channel, click on the video and watch, right? That's how YouTube works. You've got to create something that grabs people's attention. Now, personally, I actually find a lot of the clickbait stuff quite cringy. I really don't like it. Especially some of the big YouTubers. You see what they do with the thumbnails and the title of the videos. Not for me. But you have to do some of it. You have to do it slightly. You have to play the game. So your titles and your thumbnails have to be a little bit clickbaity, and sometimes mine are a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes I've deliberately ripped off another channel just as a little stab that I thought was quite funny. Maybe a little bit too subtle for some of you. But yes, that's how it works. But some people think that the thumbnail and title is just what the video is about and there's nothing else included. And someone sent me an email saying he spent 20 minutes watching this video and only 5 minutes of it was about the title. Yeah, that's YouTube, right? You watch any other channel, it's exactly the same. That's what you do. They're update videos. I'm trying to get you to watch the channel to grow it. So, but again, as I said earlier, you don't have to watch it. It's not compulsory. Watch something else. But there you go. Anyway, I've had enough of a rant. I need to crack on with the work. This has gone on for 12, 13 minutes now. Anyway, that's my rant. Enjoy the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you've got something to say, please put it down below. But, the number one rule always applies on the internet. Don't be a... Yeah, all right. Right, so here we go then. The Matamp R28. This has come in for a service and inspection. There is nothing wrong with this amplifier, but its customer has just bought this and wants to have it checked over, make sure everything's working as it should, make sure there's no issues that are underlying, and just to confirm, there's a couple of things that he wants confirming and checking out, and to make sure that it is as it should be. So, full disclaimer, we don't get many Matamps through the door. Whether that's because they're not very common here in the UK, it seems most of them go abroad to North America. But also, I think they're pretty reliable. I mean, the reputation is they're built like tanks. So you just don't see many Matamps coming through. So, because of that, I'm not really that clued up on them. It's not like silver plate fenders, is it? We just get hundreds of those things. But this Matamp, yeah, I rarely see them. I don't really know much about the Matamp range either. But what I do know is this model, the R28, supposedly is the predecessor to the V28, which seems to be the more popular, more common model. So that may be wrong. If you know more about them, please put comments down below. Help me out. But we'll give this a check over and an inspection and see where we are. We're just going to do a visual check today, and then we'll fire it up on the bench another time and see what it's doing. So, really classy look. I always love wine red with gold. Always think that looks great. This one's got a nice cloth to it. Badge logo here. This particular one is a 2x12, and we'll turn it around in a minute and show you. So we've got two inputs, high and a low. I don't know how they're configured, whether it's the Marshall type, where the high input has got an extra gain stage relative to the low, or whether it's more the Fender style, which is just the high impedance, low impedance. I don't know. We've got a voice switch here, which I 1, 2, 3, 4 position. Now I would argue that knob needs rotating round, so it points up further. Anyway, drive control, reverb, treble, middle and bass, or the other way around, bass, pedal, treble, presence and a master. We've got an on-off and we've got a standby switch as well with our dual at the end. Now, not sure when this was made, and hopefully we'll find out, but you can tell it's quite a big panel gap there. Almost see through, can't you? Which is not a sign of a well-fitted amplifier, but it could be for a number of reasons. The string here is a bit loose, but I'm being finicky, to be honest. I shouldn't worry about it too much. Overall, it's in quite nice condition. You know, a couple of battle scars and things, but you know, I have seen much worse. Some of these screws are a bit chewed up, so I'm going to have to be careful of those. I think this one is one of the worst ones. Yeah, that doesn't look good at all, does it? Right, this thing is heavy. I will weigh it at some point, but it does weigh a ton. And the customer actually brought it in with a fitted flight case for it too. So the whole thing is, I mean, it's an absolute beast, isn't it? So anyway, let's spin this thing around, have a look at the rear. Here we go then. First thing you'll notice is that the rear chassis panel is upside down, and I don't know why that is. Is that because it also came as a head, and so would be the right way up when it was sat on the floor? Maybe. We've got fuse LEDs here, so when a fuse fails, the bulb will come on. It's quite clever. We've got an FX return. We've got a pentode triode switch. We can check how that operates. Now, it's got bias test points, but nothing in them. And maybe you can get through there. But again, yeah, you can just see there's something in there, can't you? Do you want me to stick a screwdriver in a hole that I can't see what's going on? It's one way to get shocked, isn't it? It's got a foot switch socket, and it's got this switch here. Now, the customer said he doesn't know what that does. Now, he thinks the foot switch turns the reverb on and off, but what does that switch do? We've got two output sockets and an impedance selector, which is currently set for 16 ohms. Now, if we look in the back, we've got two Celestion Vintage 30s, both 8 ohms, and they're wired in parallel for 4 ohms. So is that set in the wrong position? Don't know. It's a reverb model, but the reverb tank is not on the floor. It appears to be mounted to the side in a felt bag. So we're going to have to check that one out. And if I stick my camera in here, hopefully you can see we've got some 4 6v6s as the output valves. Got some nice chunky transformers. We'll check all of these out when I pull the chassis. But overall, yeah, that's the Matamp R28. Very, very interesting. So I've got a warranty job here. This is a PR6 that we built for a chap, and he's had it since August 2023. And he emailed me and said it started to make a loud hum. And if I put the mic up to the speaker, hopefully that comes across. Okay, so Just using a very, very simple FFT app. It gives you it's a frequency analyzer basically, and you can see the hum is at 100 hertz, and it's got a 200 harmonic on top. So 100 hertz in a guitar amplifier is rectified hum, so it's downstream of the rectifier. Mains voltage in the UK is 50 hertz. Once it's rectified, it becomes 100 hertz. So we've got probably either got a valve issue or an issue in the HT rail, the high voltage rail in the amplifier. So let's get this thing apart, have a look, see what we can find. Right, so PR6 warranty repair on the bench. Visual inspection shows absolutely no signs of anything wrong. Nothing burnt, nothing loose, nothing that shouldn't be where it is. So, first job was I went through and I pulled all of the valves, the preamp valves. If the hum is generated or is entering the circuit in the preamp, when you pull the phase inverter, the hum will usually disappear. What I have noticed, if I turn the tremolo up, the hum does pulsate slightly. Let me turn that down. So, the hum must be downstream of the phase inverter. So we're looking at the output valves, right? So I'm going to come in and I'm going to pull this valve out whilst the amp is on, and the hum disappears. Now, why would that be? Does that mean this valve is faulty? Well, that would be your first guess, right? And if I put the valve back in, it's difficult one-handed, the hum comes back. If I pull this valve, which I'm not going to do, the hum remains. So what does that tell us? That tells us that valve's got to be faulty, right? Well, no. This is why you can't just diagnose on pulling valves alone. So let's take some voltage measurements on the output sockets. And what I want to do is I want to measure the current going through the valve. So let's measure this one. I've got my 1 ohm resistor to ground. And through that valve, I've got 33, 34. Come on, let's get a good connection. About 34.5 millivolts. So milliamps, because we're a 1 ohm resistor flowing through that valve. Now that's the one that we pulled and the hum went away. Let's measure this one. Nothing. There's no current flow going through that valve. So that valve isn't conducting. This one is not conducting. And the hum you're hearing is the hum that is usually cancelled or bucked by a push-pull output stage. So we've actually had a valve failure, but it's not the one that caused the hum to disappear. All this valve is doing is conducting as normal. Because this valve isn't working, we're now getting a hum in the circuit. So if I put a new set of output valves in, this amp will be fixed. Right, so a new set of 6v6 is installed. This time I've gone for a set of JJs. The amp is on and running. The hum has disappeared. But just to confirm, do you remember this valve before? We've now got 28 milliamps of current, I should say, running through the valve, which is about right for these. And on the other side, the side that wasn't conducting anything, we've got about the same. All right, so all this amp needed was a new set of 6v6s. And what I do on the one that was faulty, I put an X on top so we're not tempted to reuse that valve. But the customer can have the other one as a spare, keep that safe. But yeah, that this amp is now done. All I need to do is I'll just quickly measure the output. This one's got a mid control. Let's drive the amplifier. There we go. So into 8 ohms for, it's a PR6, so we're looking for 6 watts with about 7 volts, and we got 7.4, 7.5 there, so that's bang on, nice and healthy, tremolo works, job done. Just a set of 6v6s. Now, I'm going to have to ring the customer because he's had the amplifier since August, so that will be September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So 7 months he's had this. Now, as you all know, valves are only covered for 90 days by the manufacturer, so the valves are out of warranty on this, so that is going to be a chargeable repair. I'm not going to charge him any labour. I don't think there's any need for that. But he will have to pay for the valves. But that's just the way it is. I'm going to leave this soap testing on the bench now. Leave that running. Make sure it's happy. Make sure there's no other issues. I'll go through it. While it's here, I'll just make sure everything's good. There's no point sending it back. If it's not, get it reassembled in the cabinet, and then we can call this one complete. Right, I'm just in the process of removing the chassis, but I have noticed something. I'll try and get a better view for you. The two speaker frames are actually touching here, and this one is lifted slightly. So does that mean that frame is bent? I hope not. I hope that's not an issue. But you can see also this speaker is mounted with some machine screws, and this particular one has got washers on as well. Are these the original speakers for the amp? Has somebody changed them? What's going on? All this stuff needs to be checked out. Right, I've just had a mighty fight trying to get the lower panel off. The screws were in as tight can be. And even once the screws were out, the fitment was so tight. I had to use a rubber mallet just to get enough force onto it to pop this out. The reason I'm doing that is I've realised that the reverb cables are hardwired to the chassis. Let me see up there. So you can't remove them from the chassis, but they come into this reverb bag, and there's the red connector and the black connector somewhere in there. So I can't disconnect the reverb from the tank without taking this rubber thing out, but it's stapled in place. Felt cover up, but it's stapled in place. So I'm currently working on that. Right, so I managed to get the chassis down. I managed to get one of the connectors off through this hole here. So I've now got the chassis down from the roof of the cabinet. So what I've done is I've just pulled the staples out that were holding the felt cover in place and peeled it back, and now you can see what's going on. So it's actually not a case, it's just a cover protecting the reverb tank, which is a 3EA1C1B dated 2003 Belton tank. Now, these are the connectors, look. And what they've done is they put these right-angled connectors in so you can connect on straight and have the tank mounted to the wall. Okay. Very cool, very interesting. So, the long cable, let's remember this together. The long cable with the red end goes to the red connector, and the short cable, they've both got red ends, that's a bit silly, goes to the black cable. So maybe what I'll do, just with a Sharpie, I'll put a black mark on that one, just so I know that goes to the black one, the black connector. Okay, so now I'll get this disconnected and out of the way. And let's have a look at this chassis then. So, what looks like the power transformer, because it's closest to the power socket. March 2003. There's no other markings on it. I assume that's the model number 78203. The output transformer, which is closest to the speaker socket, so is a Demeter windings, or Demeter, I can never remember how you say it. Sorry, get this stable for you. 50 watt output transformer, April 2003. Okay, so we're starting to get a date on this amplifier now. The choke, again, dated April 2003. So we've got our 4 6v6s. We've got a shield in between. We've got our preamp valves, and we've got, what have we got here? Is this our reverb driver? It's an 6BQ5 and EL84. That's probably the reverb driver, which you don't see very often anymore. Got a filter can here, and 2 smaller filter cans here. Okay. Inside the Matamp then, and as you can see, this is a very well bulletproof built amplifier. Absolutely fantastic. So we've got the turret strips, as we'll call them. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of them with all your components on. Can we work out what's going on? Okay, so let's start with the switches. We've got APEM switches, which is about as good as you get, to be honest. Absolutely fantastic. Each individual component is mounted on a turret. Zoom out a bit, give you a better view. Come around, look at the pots. Oh, there's the voice switch. So that appears to be switching between the capacity, a couple of capacitors on that board that appear to be switched in and out. So very cool. Looking at the output valve sockets, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. It looks like each individual one has its own cathode resistor and bypass cap. I think I've just seen that one looks okay. That one does look like the vent hole's about to pop, doesn't it? That does look like that. Next one. Same again. Hold on. There should be 4 of them. I only count 3. 1, 2, 3. No schematic for this amp, so I'm going to have to be working this one out and do lots of drawings. Rectify diodes. You just don't get amps designed and built like this anymore. They're so good, so well thought out. Lots going on. Just high quality components throughout, built to a high standard. It's really cool, isn't it? It's really cool. Right, okay, that's inside the Matamp then. So, don't know about you, but I can't see anything majorly wrong. I can't work out why. You've got 4 individual screen stoppers, 1, 2, 3, 4, but only 3 bypass caps, but 4 resistors, cathode resistors. I need to work that one out. Need to draw it out and understand what's going on. Got too many other amps in my head at the moment, so let's try not to say something that's incorrect. I want to be accurate for you guys. So anyway, yeah, that's the Matamp. If I get time at the end of the day, I'll try and fire this one up on the bench and see if we can get some basic output measurements and things like that, see what it's doing. But yeah, really, really cool. Interesting construction with that reverb tank, the way they've done that. Put it on the side. I mean, why not on the floor? But yeah. Cool. Ah, there's that switch. So that's the reverb socket and that's the switch that accompanies it. Can we work out what it does? Seems to be switching something on this board in and out. Okay, we'll have to work on that then. Yeah, that's inside the Matamp. Very cool indeed. Very cool. Right, moving on. Right, I'm actually raging right now because it's my own fault. Right, so you know, I've explained to you before that I use these blank chassis because, and I mark and draw them out myself because I'm constantly trying to improve and update and change things. Well, what I've had trouble with in the past with these Ainsley Lister builds is, I'll show you on the iPad, this hole here, and we have a grommet, and we have a lot of wires that come through that that hole. Now, usually I use 10mm holes and put 10mm grommets in because that's what I stock. But over the last couple of builds, I've noticed that it's really, really tight with all the wires going through there. Now, on a side note, whenever you've got wires passing through a metal chassis, you have to use a grommet to protect the wire so it doesn't rub through. Anyway, I decided for that particular one, we'll go to the next size up, which is 12mm. Now, 12mm grommets are not something I carry. I carry 10mm and I carry 18mm. Yeah, that's right. So 12mm are ones that I don't usually have in stock. It's not part of my usual order. So I went online and I ordered some up ages ago, and I completely forgot about them. I've just gone to get them out the drawer. There's none in there. I've checked online and I can see that they were delivered over a month ago, but I can't find them anywhere. And I wonder whether they're actually delivered or who knows what, because it was just standard post. It wasn't a tracked thing. So who knows where they've gone. I've now had to go online and order even more just so I can have one grommet for this chassis, because I can't, it's now, that hole is too large to put a 10mm in. So yeah, having a right moan today, aren't I? But yeah, so that's that. But you know, for the amount of wires coming through that hole, it's, you know, it is needed. That's an old picture actually, because we've got the extra fuse holder in there. But so I can't do that, which means I can't mount the transformer because the wires will be too close and it'll be very difficult to get them through. So I've got to put this one to one side. Hopefully they arrive before the end of the week. Although you know, it is a short week this week, so who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's that. Really quite annoyed. But anyway, my sockets are in. Cracking on with the rest of it. I did. I haven't touched this much. It's covered in fingerprints already, so I need to give it another clean. But yeah, it's coming on nicely. Okay, so I've got the Matamp on the bench. I'm now set it to 8 ohms because that's what my setup is. So we're driving 8 ohms. I've got the master volume on bypassed, sorry. We're in the high input, and that's the sine wave. Do you see that crossover distortion there? Also, look, it's asymmetrical. The top peak and the bottom valley are not the same. So into 8 ohms, that's the most amount of clean I can get out of this thing. Is about there. 12 volts, or 12 volts. 12 times 12 divided by 8 is 18 watts. So this does appear to be down on power. If I hit the triode switch, it goes down to about 6.5 watts. So this amplifier is down on power. I've been messing around with controls trying to get more output out of it, but that's the most it will do before it overdrives. Look, so, but it should do 28 watts clean. So we need to investigate why that is. But yeah, very interesting. Oh yeah, there you go. You can see again now. But apart from that, there's no smoke. It's pulling at its maximum clean power, 90 watts out of the wall. I haven't done any voltage checks at the moment. All I've done is just driven the front end of the amplifier and looked at that sine wave. So yeah, there's definitely something going on. We can see that it's biased too cold because of that crossover distortion. So we need to go through and check all those things out, see where the amplifier is. But I did promise you I'll show you what it's doing at the moment. But that, at the moment, is not what I would call an optimal running amplifier. Can't even say it. It's not running optimally. I can't say it. Absolutely useless. It's not running well. There you go. Right. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. Have a wonderful Easter, and I shall catch you all next week.